essays and how to use library databases to get this information. Our generative topic is rather broad, but because we haven't written it yet. But we would have a case study, such as a medical ethics case study, that involved at least 4 stakeholders, say a patient, a doctor, a patient advocate, and an administrator. And a case, as you know, ends with a question, but it could be answered in multiple ways. So it involves understanding multiple perspectives and consequences that come from the decisions that you make. So that's our sort of topic. Understanding goals, each group in the class is assigned a different point of view to research and represent. So each person in this assignment would be, so we might have 5 groups of 4, and so we'd have 5 patients, 5 state advocates, administrators, doctors. And so we'd start out with them just representing what they already knew. So they'd read the case, and without doing any research, they would just say, I'm the patient, and I think that X, Y, and Z should have happened, patient's rights, et cetera, et cetera. So they would sort of exhaust what they knew about whatever role that they were supposed to identify with. And that would lead them to start to understand the gaps in their knowledge, what they did not know, which is an information literacy goal.
Yes, that was the part I was most interested in. How do you find information to go with your task? How do you frame it? How do you know what to look for? So constructing that information gap was really important. What if a student from this session came to a librarian looking for stuff? How would they explain it?
So the way that they would get to that was through these conversations having to do with the case study. So then they would know what they did not know, or they would at least know one thing that they did not know, and that would lead them to go to the library and say, I'm a patient, and I was just given an overdose of antibiotics. Do you know where I can find out what my rights are? Do I have any rights? Can you show me? So that's what they would tell the librarian. The librarian said, well, yes, we have some databases. Click, 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 click. Here's some search terms, blah, blah, blah. And
at least to get started. There's a whole other session after this.
This is just one assignment. That's what I kept reminding. Okay, so our understanding goals for college readiness were metacognition, knowing what they don't know about these stakeholders, and also dealing with contradictory points of view, synthesis analysis. That was another 2 of them. So for our discipline for writing, they would write a draft of how the student's initial understanding of their stakeholder position point of view was complicated or added to by their research. So that would be a writing, just a draft kind of response paper, really. And then the understanding goals from the library would be that they would understand how to access a database and find what we're calling world-class sources.
Which is a whole other session.
But that's another assignment. Identify gaps in their knowledge. Again, all they would know is maybe a couple things that they didn't know, which is fine to me. And then use those gaps to generate research directionality. As research direction, and then ality was an addition. So their performance of understanding would be to answer the case question using multiple perspectives from the stakeholders with a little more knowledge than that first time around in class. And the ongoing assessment, do students know what they don't know at the end of the session? If not, then we would send them first to their counterparts in other groups. So like there might be 5 patients, 5 advocates, 5 doctors. So the first place they might be able to go to is the other patients, and maybe get some clues. And then Marika tells us, how do we know our sources are reliable? That would bring us to assignment 2. So that's beyond the scope of this work.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
And just to add a couple of things, one of the things we liked about this was it immediately got students past their own points of view and immediately beyond the duality or the polarized framework of a database like opposing viewpoints. So we just got rid of those problems right away.
Any questions of clarification?
So reiterate for me again how you envisioned the role play piece.